Hey everybody, it's Miss Peak, and we just finished up reading chapter 4 of The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. And in that chapter, the road starts to get really rough. Things are not as beautiful as they were before. There's not many farms anymore. They said the land was not tilled, so that must mean there's not many farms. And they stopped to eat, but the Scarecrow refuses. He says he doesn't need to eat because then he would have to cut his mouth and then he would ruin his face. So while she's eating, the Scarecrow starts to tell Dorothy the story of how he was made by the Munchkin farmer. We find out that he's only 2 days old. He was only made day before yesterday. And he tells about how the farmer first made his head, and then his ears, and his eyes, his mouth, and his nose, and how they stuck him up in this cornfield to scare away the crows. That was his job. And at first it was working. He was actually able to scare them away until this old crow shows up, and he realizes that this Scarecrow is not actually a Munchkin, that this is just a Scarecrow. And he comes and perches on the Scarecrow's shoulder and talks to him and talks about how wonderful brains are. And so this is how the Scarecrow kind of gets the idea of he needs some brains. It's from this old crow. After this, they start on their journey again, Dorothy and the Scarecrow do, and they come to a forest. And they realize they're going to have to go through this forest to come out on the other side is hopefully the Emerald City. So it's starting to get dark, and Scarecrow is leading Dorothy through the forest, but they need to find some shelter. And so the Scarecrow finally spies a cottage and asks if they could spend the night there. So who do you think this cottage belongs to? They haven't told us yet, so be thinking about that. All right, so now I need you to get your reading notebook and turn to your map of Oz. We're going to add the next part of their journey, which is the forest. So on your map, they've started here. They started here at the Land of the Munchkins. Remember, they like blue, so we put a blue circle. And then right here, a little distance on the road, we're going to add some trees above and below the road to show that the road leads through a forest. So if you just add some trees right up in here, so we can see that they're going through the forest. That's the next part of their journey. Just put a big row of trees right there. And then after you're done with that, if you'll turn to a new page in your notebook, we're going to talk about the Scarecrow. He told all about how he was created in this chapter, in chapter 4. So if you go to your next clean page, and in the middle we're going to put the word Scarecrow, and we're going to describe some things about the Scarecrow. We're going to make 6 circles outside the middle circle. So 6 things we know about the Scarecrow based on his story he told Dorothy. And if you want to pause the video right now and try this on your own and to see if your answers match mine, because you may think of something that I didn't think of, and that's okay. There's more than 6 things he told in his story. But I want you to try to focus on the six really important things he told Dorothy. Okay, so if you want to pause the video now and do it on your own, and then you can unpause it and see what I did. If you're not sure, you can keep going with me and add in as we're going. Okay, so one thing we know about the Scarecrow is that he was created by who? A Munchkin. And this was a farmer Munchkin, wasn't he? He wanted it for his crows, to take care of the field and hopefully keep the crows away, and it didn't quite work out like he wanted. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the sequence of how the Scarecrow was made. First was his head. And then, remember, he said he was able to hear, so his ears were next. And then he said he was able to see because they created his eye. And then his other eye a little bit bigger, remember? They used blue paint. Then his mouth. But he didn't know what to do with it because he didn't know what a mouth was for. And his nose. So that's the sequence of how they made his body. And then they attached his arms and his legs and all that part. Okay, so we know how old he is now. They said he was 2 days old. He's made day before yesterday. So 2 days old. Not very old at all. And when he's out there in the field, he becomes quite bored, doesn't he? He gets bored of hanging in the cornfield. How are you bored if you don't have brains? That's curious, isn't it? He doesn't like being out there. He doesn't have anything to do. He's just stuck up this pole. And so, when Dorothy comes along, he's like, get me down from here. I don't want to be up here anymore. Okay, so after he gets bored and he talks to the crow, the thing he wants the most, what is it he really wants? Brains. So he wishes for brains because he doesn't want to be thought of as a fool. And then something else about the Scarecrow is as they're going along and the road is getting rougher and rougher. Remember it said that some of the bricks were chipped or missing or broken. So Dorothy went around them and Toto hopped over them, but the Scarecrow, he fell right in the hole. So he's quite clumsy, isn't he? He's not using that brain to figure out how to get around these obstacles, is he? So, like I said, if you pause the video or you think of more things, you could add more things out from your Scarecrow of things you think are important about him that we need to remember. So I hope you had fun with this, and I'll see you next time. Bye!